The rain-slicked streets of Brooklyn glistened under the streetlights, but Elena's heart was a storm no umbrella could shield. She stood outside the old brownstone, her breath visible in the chilly autumn air, waiting for Mara to emerge from the shadows. 3 years of stolen glances and whispered promises had led to this moment, and the weight of their secret threatened to crush her. Elena, 28, was a painter whose vibrant canvases hid the turmoil of a life spent pleasing others. Her parents, devout and traditional, had raised her in a small Ohio town where love was supposed to follow a predictable script. Boy meets girl, not girl meets girl. Mara, 29, was the opposite, a fiery journalist with a knack for uncovering truths, except the one she buried deepest, her love for Elena. They'd met at a gallery opening in Manhattan, where Elena's art spoke to Mara's soul, and a single conversation sparked a connection neither could deny. But Mara's high-profile career and Elena's fear of her family's rejection kept their love locked in whispers, hidden behind closed doors. Tonight, though, something had shifted. Mara had texted Elena to meet her here, at the brownstone where Mara's sister lived, with a cryptic message: "I can't keep this secret anymore." Elena's pulse raced as she saw Mara's silhouette in the doorway, her short black hair tousled, her green eyes catching the light like emeralds. Mara's leather jacket was zipped against the cold, but her expression was raw, unguarded. "Elena," Mara said, her voice low but urgent, "we need to talk." Elena's stomach twisted. "Is it your sister? Did she find out?" Mara shook her head, stepping closer. "No. It's me. I'm done hiding." The words hit Elena like a thunderclap. 4 years she'd helped Mara keep their love a secret, late-night phone calls, coded texts, meetings in out-of-the-way cafes. Elena had done it willingly, out of love, out of fear, out of hope that one day they could be free. But freedom came with a cost, and Elena wasn't sure she was ready to pay it. They walked to a nearby park, the same one where they'd shared their first kiss under a canopy of cherry blossoms. Now, in late October, the trees were bare, their branches clawing at the sky. Mara stopped by a bench, her hands shoved into her pockets. "I got an offer," she said, her voice steady but laced with emotion. "A job in San Francisco. Big paper, investigative team. It's everything I've worked for." Elena's heart sank. "You're leaving?" "No," Mara said quickly, grabbing Elena's hand. "I want us to go. Together. No more hiding, no more pretending. I want to live with you, openly, as your partner." The words were everything Elena had dreamed of, but they terrified her. Her parents' voices echoed in her mind. "It's a sin, Elena. You'll lose everything." She thought of her younger brother, still in Ohio, who looked up to her. She thought of the life she'd built in New York, the delicate balance of half-truths that kept her family at bay. "Mara, I don't know if I can." Mara's eyes softened, but her grip tightened. "I know it's scary. I know what it means for you. But I've spent years keeping this part of myself locked away, and it's killing me. I love you, Elena, and I want the world to know it." Elena pulled her hand away, her chest tight. "You don't understand. My familial cut me off. They'll hate me. And I'll be there," Mara said fiercely. "We'll face it together. But I can't keep living like this, sneaking around like our love is something to be ashamed of." The air between them crackled with tension. Elena wanted to say yes, to throw herself into Mara's arms and leave everything behind. But the weight of her past, her fears, held her back. "I need time," she whispered. Mara nodded, her jaw tight. "I leave in a month. Think about it, Elena. But I won't wait forever." As Mara walked away, Elena stood frozen, the rain soaking through her coat. She'd spent so long protecting their secret, but now the choice was hers. Hold on to the safety of silence or risk everything for a love that could set her free. The next week was a blur of sleepless nights and half-finished paintings. Elena's studio, a cramped loft in Williamsburg, was her sanctuary. But even there, Mara's words haunted her. She painted furiously, her brushstrokes bold and chaotic, as if she could exorcise her doubts on canvas. But every stroke reminded her of Mara, the curve of her smile, the fire in her eyes. One evening, Elena's phone buzzed with a call from her mother. "We're coming to visit next weekend," her mother said, her voice warm but expectant. "Your father and I want to see your new paintings. And maybe talk about finding you a nice man to settle down with." Elena's throat tightened. "Sure, Mom," she managed, her voice barely steady. After hanging up, she stared at the painting on her easel, a vibrant swirl of reds and blues, inspired by Mara's passion. She couldn't keep lying, not to her parents, not to herself. She called Mara, her hands trembling. "Can we meet? I need to see you." They met at a small diner in the East Village, the kind of place where the coffee was strong and the booths were worn. Mara looked tired, her usual confidence dimmed. "What's wrong?" she asked, sliding into the booth across from Elena. "My parents are coming," Elena said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They want to talk about my future. About marriage." Mara's face hardened. "And what did you tell them?" "Nothing," Elena admitted. "I couldn't. But I can't keep doing this, Mara. I can't keep pretending I'm someone I'm not." Mara reached across the table, her hand hovering over Elena's. "Then don't. Tell them the truth. Tell them about us." Elena's eyes filled with tears. "What if they hate me? What if I lose them?" "You might," Mara said softly. "But you'll gain yourself. And you'll have me." The words were a lifeline, but Elena wasn't sure she could grab it. They sat in silence, the weight of their choices pressing down on them. Outside, the city pulsed with life, oblivious to the battle raging in Elena's heart. By the time Elena's parents arrived, she was a wreck. She'd spent days rehearsing what she might say, but every version ended in disaster in her mind. Her father, a stoic man with a quick temper, and her mother, kind but rigidly traditional, sat in her studio, admiring her paintings with polite smiles. "These are beautiful, Elena," her mother said, gesturing to a canvas of swirling colors. "But you look tired. Are you okay?" Elena's heart pounded. This was her chance. She could tell them about Mara, about the love that had changed her life. But the words stuck in her throat. Instead, she mumbled, "Just busy with work." Her father's eyes narrowed. "You're almost 30, Elena. It's time to think about settling down. We know a nice young man from church. I'm not interested," Elena snapped, surprising herself. Her parents exchanged a glance, and the air grew heavy. "What's going on with you?" her father asked, his voice low. Elena's hands shook as she set down her paintbrush. "There's something I need to tell you," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm in love. With a woman." The silence that followed was deafening. Her mother's face paled, and her father's jaw tightened. "What are you saying?" he demanded. "I'm saying I'm gay," Elena said, tears streaming down her face. "Her name is Mara and I love her. I've been hiding it for years because I was afraid of losing you. But I can't hide anymore." Her mother stood, her hands clasped tightly. "This isn't right, Elena. You know what the Bible says." "I know what love says," Elena replied, her voice breaking. "And it says I deserve to be happy." Her father stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "We need time," he said curtly, and they left without another word. Elena sank to the floor sobbing. She'd done it, told the truth. But the cost was higher than she'd imagined. The days after her parents' departure were a haze of grief and defiance. Elena wandered the city, her sketchbook untouched, her heart raw. She'd expected rejection, but the reality of it, of her parents' silence, their absence, cut deeper than she'd imagined. Yet, beneath the pain, a small spark of freedom flickered. She'd spoken her truth, and there was no going back. Mara, sensing Elena's turmoil, insisted they meet at their park again. It was a crisp November evening, the air sharp with the promise of winter. Mara was waiting on their bench, a thermos of hot chocolate in her hands. "You okay?" she asked, her voice soft but searching. Elena shook her head, sitting beside her. "They haven't called. Not a word. I think I've lost them." Mara's arm slid around Elena's shoulders, pulling her close. "You haven't lost me," she said fiercely. "And you haven't lost yourself. What you did was brave." Elena leaned into Mara's warmth, the ache in her chest easing slightly. "I don't know how to do this," she admitted. "I don't know how to be this version of myself." "You don't have to know," Mara said, her breath visible in the cold air. "You just have to try. One step at a time." They sat in silence, sipping hot chocolate, the city's hum a distant comfort. Elena thought of the life Mara had proposed: San Francisco, a fresh start, a chance to live openly. It was tempting, but the fear of uprooting her life, of facing more rejection loomed large. What if I'm not ready? She asked. Mara's green eyes met hers, steady and unwavering. Then we stay here. We fight for us here. But Elena, I need you to fight with me. I can't do this alone. The weight of Mara's words settled over Elena. She'd spent so long protecting their love, shielding it from the world. Now Mara was asking her to stand in the open, to claim their love without fear. It was a leap she wasn't sure she could make. The next morning, Elena woke to a voicemail from her brother, Sam, who was still in Ohio. His voice was hesitant but kind. Elena, I heard what happened. Mom and Dad. They're upset, but I'm not. I just want you to be happy. Call me, okay? Tears pricked Elena's eyes as she listened. Sam was only 22, still navigating his own path, but his support felt like a lifeline. She called him back, and they talked for hours about Mara, about her art, about the life she wanted. You should see her paintings, Sam, she said, her voice brightening. They're like her soul on canvas. Sam laughed softly. Sounds like you're in deep, sis. I am, Elena admitted. But I'm scared. Don't be, Sam said. You've got this. And you've got me. The call gave Elena a flicker of hope, but it also sharpened her resolve. She couldn't keep living in limbo, caught between fear and love. She needed to make a choice. She met Mara at a quiet bookstore in Greenwich Village, a place they'd often escaped to when the world felt too heavy. Mara was browsing the poetry section, her fingers trailing over the spines of books. When she saw Elena, her face lit up, but there was a question in her eyes. I talked to my brother, Elena said, her voice steady. He's on my side. And I want to be on my side too. Mara's smile was tentative, hopeful. What does that mean? It means I'm not ready to move to San Francisco, Elena said, her heart pounding. Not yet. But I'm ready to stop hiding. I want to be with you, Mara. Out in the open. Here in New York. Mara's eyes glistened as she stepped closer, her hand finding Elena's. Are you sure? Elena nodded, a tear slipping down her cheek. I've never been more sure of anything. They kissed in the middle of the bookstore, heedless of the curious glances from other patrons. It was their first public kiss, a declaration of love that felt like breaking chains. Elena's heart soared, but a part of her braced for what came next. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of change. Elena and Mara began to live more openly, holding hands in public, introducing each other as partners. It wasn't easy. Elena caught whispers and stares, and Mara faced questions from colleagues who'd assumed she was single. But each small act of courage strengthened their bond. One evening, Mara invited Elena to a journalism event, a fundraiser for a local paper. Elena hesitated. She'd never been to one of Mara's work events. But Mara's insistence won her over. I want them to know you, Mara said. You're part of my life. At the event, held in a sleek Manhattan loft, Elena felt out of place among the polished reporters and editors. Mara, in a sharp blazer, moved through the crowd with ease, but her hand never left Elena's. When Mara introduced her as my girlfriend, Elena's heart skipped. The word felt like a victory, but not everyone was accepting. A senior editor, a man with a sharp jaw and sharper opinions, cornered Mara later that night. This is a bold move, he said, his tone clipped. You sure you want to mix your personal life with your career? Mara's eyes flashed. I'm not mixing anything. I'm living my truth. And Elena's a part of that. The editor's smile was thin. Just be careful. This industry doesn't always reward distractions. Elena overheard, her stomach twisting. She knew Mara's career was everything to her, and the thought of jeopardizing it made her feel sick. Later, as they walked home, Elena voiced her fear. What if being with me hurts your career? Mara stopped, turning to face her. You're not a liability, Elena. You're my strength. If they can't handle that, they don't deserve me. Elena wanted to believe her, but doubt lingered. She'd already lost her parents. Could she bear it if Mara lost something too? Christmas loomed, and with it, the ache of Elena's fractured family. She hadn't heard from her parents since their visit, and the silence was a wound that wouldn't heal. Mara suggested they spend the holiday together. Just the two of them, in a cozy cabin upstate. No pressure, no expectations, Mara said. Just us. Elena agreed, desperate for a reprieve. The cabin was nestled in the Catskills, surrounded by snow-dusted pines. Inside, a fire crackled and Mara had strung fairy lights around the room, giving it a warm, magical glow. They cooked a simple meal, laughed over burnt potatoes, and danced to old jazz records. For the first time in weeks, Elena felt light, unburdened. As they lay by the fire, Mara traced circles on Elena's palm. "I've been thinking," she said softly, "about us. About the future." Elena's heart skipped. "What about it?" "I want to build a life with you," Mara said, her voice steady. "Not just in secret, not just in stolen moments. A real life. A home. Maybe even a family someday." The words were a dream Elena had barely dared to imagine, but they also stirred her fears. "What if I'm not enough?" she whispered. "What if I can't give you everything you deserve?" Mara cupped Elena's face, her eyes fierce. "You are everything I want. The rest we'll figure out together." They made love that night, their bodies intertwined in the soft glow of the firelight. It was a moment of pure connection, a promise that their love could withstand anything. But as Elena drifted to sleep in Mara's arms, a nagging doubt lingered. Could she truly let go of her past? Back in the city, reality crashed in. Mara's editor had passed her over for a major assignment, citing focus issues. Elena overheard Mara arguing on the phone, her voice sharp with frustration. "This isn't about my work," Mara snapped. "It's about who I am." When Mara hung up, Elena was waiting, her heart heavy. "Is this because of me?" she asked. Mara sighed, running a hand through her hair. "It's not you. It's them. They're not used to someone like me being open." Elena's guilt flared. "Maybe we should slow down. Maybe I pushed you too far." Mara's eyes blazed. "Don't do that. Don't take this on yourself. I chose this, Elena. I chose us." But the strain was undeniable. Mara was working longer hours trying to prove herself, while Elena struggled with her own insecurities. Her paintings, once vibrant, grew darker, reflecting the storm inside her. She missed her family, missed the ease of her old life, even if it had been a lie. One night, Elena found an email from her mother. It was short, formal. "We're praying for you, Elena. We hope you'll come back to us." No mention of Mara, no acknowledgement of her truth. Elena deleted it, tears streaming down her face. She wanted to call Sam to hear his voice, but she couldn't bring herself to dial. Instead, she went to Mara's apartment, a small walk-up in the West Village. Mara was working late as usual, but Elena let herself in with the spare key. The apartment was a mess of notebooks and coffee cups, a testament to Mara's relentless drive. Elena curled up on the couch, waiting, her heart a tangle of love and fear. When Mara came home, she found Elena asleep, a sketchbook open to a drawing of their park bench. Mara's eyes softened as she sat beside her, brushing a strand of hair from Elena's face. "I'm sorry," Mara whispered, though Elena couldn't hear. "I'm trying so hard to make this work." The new year brought a shift. Mara was offered a freelance gig with a progressive outlet, one that celebrated her identity rather than penalized it. The pay was less, but the freedom was worth it. She threw herself into the work, her passion reignited. Elena, inspired by Mara's resilience, began painting again, her canvases bursting with color and hope. They decided to host a small gathering at Elena's studio, a way to celebrate their new chapter. Friends came, artists, writers, activists who embraced them without judgment. Elena felt a sense of belonging she'd never known, a community that saw her for who she was. But the night wasn't without tension. A friend of Mara's, a photographer named Lila, mentioned seeing Elena's parents at a church event in Ohio, shared through a mutual acquaintance. "They were talking about you," Lila said carefully. "They're struggling, but they miss you." Elena's heart clenched. She hadn't expected to hear about them, not like this. Mara squeezed her hand under the table, a silent reminder that she wasn't alone. Later, as they cleaned up, Elena voiced the thought that had been haunting her. What if I reach out to them? Not to go back, but to try. Mara nodded, her expression unreadable. Do what you need to do. Just don't lose yourself in the process. Elena wrote a letter that night, pouring her heart onto the page. She told her parents about her love for Mara, about the life she was building, about the woman she was becoming. She didn't ask for their approval, only their understanding. She mailed it the next day, her hands trembling as she dropped it into the mailbox. Spring arrived, painting New York in shades of green and gold. Elena's letter went unanswered, but she refused to let it dim her light. She and Mara were building something real, a life of shared mornings, late-night talks, and quiet moments that felt like home. Yet, the shadow of her parents' silence lingered, a reminder of the cost of her truth. Mara's new job was thriving, her articles gaining traction online. She wrote about identity, love, and resilience, weaving their story into her work without naming Elena directly. Elena read every piece, her heart swelling with pride. But she also noticed the toll it took on Martha late nights, the pressure to prove herself in a new space. One afternoon, Elena surprised Mara with a picnic in Central Park, a rare moment of stillness in their busy lives. They spread a blanket under a blooming cherry tree, the petals drifting around them like soft promises. "I'm proud of you," Elena said, handing Mara a sandwich. "You're changing the world one story at a time." Mara laughed, her eyes crinkling. "I'm just trying to keep up with you. Your new series, those paintings are incredible." Elena blushed. Her latest work, a collection inspired by their journey, was set to be shown at a gallery in Chelsea. It was her boldest project yet, each canvas a celebration of love and defiance. She poured her heart into it, knowing it would be seen by strangers, critics, maybe even her parents. As they ate, Mara's phone buzzed with an email. Her face paled as she read it. "It's from my editor," she said. "They want me to cover a story in DC. It's big, political, high profile, but it means being away for a month." Elena's heart sank, but she forced a smile. "That's amazing, Mara. You have to go." Mara hesitated. "I don't want to leave you. Not now, when things are finally good." "I'll be fine," Elena said, though her voice wavered. "We've got this." But as Mara packed for DC, Elena felt the distance growing. Not just physical but emotional. She threw herself into her art, painting late into the night, trying to drown out her fears. What if Mara's career took her away for good? What if their love couldn't withstand the pressures of the world? The gallery opening was a week away when Elena got a call from Sam. "I'm coming to New York," he said, his voice bright. "I want to see your show. And I want to meet Mara." Elena's heart soared. Sam's visit was a chance to rebuild, to show him the life she'd chosen. When he arrived, she took him to her studio, where her paintings lined the walls. Sam, taller than she remembered, studied each one with quiet awe. "These are about her, aren't they?" he asked. Elena nodded, her throat tight. "They're about us." Sam hugged her, his embrace warm and steady. "I'm proud of you, Elena. You're living your truth." The night of the opening, the gallery was packed with artists, critics, and curious strangers. Elena stood by her paintings, her heart pounding, as Sam mingled with the crowd. Mara was still in DC, but she'd promised to call later. Elena felt her absence keenly, a hollow space in her chest. The critics were kind, praising her bold use of color and emotion. But as the night wore on, Elena noticed a familiar figure in the crowd, her mother. She stood by a painting of two women embracing, her face unreadable. Elena's breath caught. She hadn't expected this, hadn't prepared for it. She approached, her hands trembling. "Mom!" Her mother turned, her eyes wet. "I got your letter," she said softly. I needed to see this for myself." They stood in silence, the weight of years between them. Finally, her mother spoke. "I don't understand it, Elena, but I see how happy you are. And I don't want to lose you." It wasn't acceptance, not fully, but it was a start. Elena hugged her mother, tears streaming down her face. For the first time, she felt a glimmer of hope that her family might come back to her. Mara returned from DC the next day, her eyes tired but bright. Elena met her at the airport, throwing her arms around her in a fierce embrace. "I missed you," Elena whispered. "I missed you too," Mara said, kissing her forehead. "How was the show?" Elena told her everything: Sam's visit, her mother's unexpected appearance, the success of the paintings. Mara listened, her smile growing. "You did it," she said. "You showed the world who you are." They went to their park as they always did, sitting on their bench under the stars. Elena took Mara's hand, her heart full. "I'm ready," she said. "For San Francisco, for a life with you. Wherever it takes us." Mara's eyes widened. Are you sure? Elena nodded, her voice steady. I've spent so long keeping our secret. Now I want to live our truth. Mara kissed her, a kiss that held all their promises, their struggles, their love. It was a new beginning, one they'd fight for together. The move to San Francisco was a leap of faith, but Elena and Mara took it together. They found a small apartment in the Mission District, with a view of the bay and a balcony just big enough for 2 chairs. Elena's paintings adorned the walls and Mara's typewriter sat by the window, a symbol of their shared dreams. Life wasn't perfect. Elena's parents remained distant, though her mother sent occasional texts, tentative steps toward reconciliation. Sam visited often, his laughter filling their home. Mara's career flourished, her stories reaching a wider audience, while Elena's art found a new audience in the vibrant San Francisco scene. One evening, as they sat on their balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, Elena felt a peace she'd never known. We did it, she said, her hand in Mara's. We built this. Mara smiled, her green eyes reflecting the fading light. We're just getting started. They faced challenges, judgment from strangers, the occasional sting of rejection, but their love was a shield, unbreakable and fierce. Elena painted a new series inspired by their journey, each canvas a testament to their resilience. Mara wrote a feature about their love, a bold, beautiful piece that went viral, sparking conversations across the country. One night, at a local gallery where Elena's work was displayed, a young woman approached her, tears in her eyes. Your paintings, she said. They made me feel seen. I'm scared to tell my family I'm gay, but you give me hope. Elena hugged her, her heart full. She thought of her own journey, of the secrets she'd kept, the fears she'd faced. She thought of Mara, who'd stood by her through it all. You're not alone, Elena told the woman. And you're stronger than you know. Years later, Elena and Mara stood in their park in New York, visiting for a gallery retrospective of Elena's work. The cherry blossoms were in bloom, a reminder of their first kiss. They were older now, their love seasoned by time, but the fire between them burned as bright as ever. I helped you keep the secret until now, Elena said, her voice soft but steady. And freely, our love will never be broken. Mara kissed her, a kiss that held a lifetime of promises. Never, she whispered. They walked hand in hand, the city alive around them, their love a beacon in the dark. They'd faced the world's judgment, their own fears, and emerged stronger. Their story wasn't just theirs, Anna Marie, it was a light for others, a reminder that love, when fought for, could change everything. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.